We're not just looking after this thing. In my opinion, this thing is looking after us as well. And I think that's an important dialogue. It's hard work, you know, sometimes doing maintenance, but you know, I really enjoy it. I love getting my hands wet. I love touching the plants. I'll start by maintaining this aquarium. This is by far the biggest, the most complex, the most going on. There has been some significant sort of changes since the last time I featured this tank in a video. I have planted some more crypt balansae in the background. That's yet to kind of show itself properly yet, but it will of course grow tall. I did actually insert the pots in the soil rather than take them out, just for an experiment. The growth is much slower, not surprisingly. The roots haven't got a chance to reach their nutrients yet. What I did do is insert nutrition capsules, actually wedge them in the pots, hoping that the roots would access the nutrients that way. What I think I'm going to do is actually take them out of their pots and plant them in the soil properly. It was just an experiment to see what would happen. I'm a little bit disappointed with the rate of growth, so I'm going to remove them and plant them in properly. And that's what, you know, some of the hobby is about, isn't it? You know, experimenting with different ideas, learning, and then making adjustments as necessary. Overall, as you can see, I think the aquarium looks amazing. I've thinned out a lot of the crypts, believe it or not. The ocelot has never grown so tall, so I'm really pleased with that. There's some really great bright red growth on the echinodoros there on the left. I'd added some really beautiful kind of textures here, fine textures of wood. This is a WEO product, I believe, that Aquarium Garden stocked, and there's probably 3 or 4, 5 maybe little branches that just add a little bit more kind of texture. And I've deliberately kind of, hopefully kind of made a distinct kind of flow down here with those. I did swap the Colorado sand. I think that was the last video that we featured on this tank, was swapping out the substrates. As you can see, there is some soil that's built up at the front, no surprise there. I planted little sprigs of aquarist, which I took from my Iwagumi tank just as an experiment. Very interestingly, the Eriocaulon Vietnam has been kind of chewed down, really kind of to stumps. I don't know if that's been the Yamano shrimp or some fish. I quite like it. It's surviving, it looks really short, it's different, and I'm just going to keep it there as it is. The Aquarist is just kind of staying stationary, kind of, it's not really carpeting or growing, but it's not getting algae, so I'm happy with that as well. Overall, I just think it's definitely my favourite aquascape that I've ever created, and I'm so grateful that it's evolved like this, and testament to just keeping on top of things, you know, maintaining it regularly, enjoying the process, learning from it, and obviously good hardware, twin star lighting, Awase filtration. It's an Awase Highline 400, of course, for those that don't know. I have changed the CO2, and I have one regulator now controlling both aquariums. This is a strideways regulator, and I will do a deep dive on this particular CO2 regulator with the manifold, so you can control 2 tanks or even more if you add more manifolds on. The needle valve is magnificent, so I'm really pleased with that. Some of the crypt leaves, some of them are melting away a little bit. You do experience that occasionally, so I'll just remove those. Let's crack on with the maintenance and have some fun. Okay, just a short interlude. If you are enjoying this video, hit the thumbs up, the like, and then subscribe if you haven't done so yet. It really helps to grow the channel. What that does, it helps aquascaping reach more people, and I believe helps the world. Tiny little bit, but it kind of serves my purpose of why I do this. Aquascaping, I really do think can help people in all ways, not just something pretty to look at, but helps people up here, helps people here, and helps people here. Thank you. Okay, first job, remove the lid. Really easy to remove. This is made of an aluminium, so very light, very strong, conducts some of the heat away from the tank as well. I am running 2 twin star LEDs. Disclaimer, these are not designed to be put under a hood. This is completely at my own risk, and Twin Star have sent me an email warning me not to promote this, so do not put twin star LEDs under your hood. If you do, it's not my fault if they go wrong. So twin star 1200, twin star 900. What I'm going to do now is, like I said before, I'm just going to take out the crypt balancei with their pots and then replant that now. The reason I'm doing that right at the beginning of the process is that's going to disturb the soil, the substrate, kick up a load of detritus into the water column. If we did that right at the end, that's nonsensical, because we need to dilute any waste organics, any excess waste organics that have been allowed to dislodge. They're going to cause algae. So the last thing I always do is a huge water change. So any kind of the most significant things that are going to impact physically the aquascape, try to do those first thing, I would suggest. Anything that's going to potentially cause algae to move around the tank, always do that first. So yeah, let's take out the balancei now. Just get my buckets. Always have lots of towels. I'm sure many of you watching keep aquariums, of course, and know the risks of spilling water whilst you're maintaining your tanks. So I have 2 buckets. This is my go-to bucket for holding any thing that I need to take out the tank. I can just see one pot there. Probably going to get this t-shirt wet. It is quite a tall tank, as you can see. I am 6 foot plus tall, and it's quite a challenge to reach the bottom. Now I do also have some Valis actually that I bought from Aquarium Gardens yesterday. Valis cinerea, spiralis tiger, and Nana, just 1 pot of each. So I'm also going to plant that around the back just to add another texture. And I haven't grown Valis for a long time, so it's a bit of a brute. It does carpet and send out runners and can potentially take over the tank if left unchecked, so be mindful of that. Here we are, last one I think. You can see the Osmo coat. So nutrition capsules are basically like a gelatin capsule contained with these tiny little balls of nutrient-rich Osmo coat, it's called. It's like a slow release nutrient source. Ideally, you don't want to let that come in contact with the water because it is very nutrient dense and can cause algae. Unfortunately, I can't really help that. So we'll just see how what happens. So that's all of the balancei taken out there. I'll get the Valis from the Irigumi tank. It's just been in holding here. So there's, just show you there quickly, that's the Valis Nana there. And then we have the Valis spiralis tiger here. So these are just portions, they're not actually pots. And the interesting thing about the Valis cinerea is that it's actually a full aquatic plant. It doesn't grow out of water. So it's important not to let it dry out at all because it will die quite quickly. So I'll prepare those now. So that's the Valis and the crypt balancei replanted in the back there. Not much of it's visible now, but trust me, in a few weeks, hopefully it'll form almost a solid kind of curtain effect. And I really like deliberately kind of mixing these species up to create a natural texture. We don't often see, a monotone or a monoculture in nature of the same species all the way along. So that's what we're aiming for, a natural look here. Next job, what I like to do is just give the tank and all the plants an overall inspection and remove any really obviously unhealthy leaves. I have noticed a good 20 or so crypts suffering from some melt. Not sure why that is. It could be seasonal, could be a change in temperature. I have, like I said, changed the CO2 regulator lately, so there might be a slight difference in CO2 content, which will adjust the pH, and crypts may suffer from some melt due to any kind of environmental changes. So I'll go through the plants and remove the unhealthiest ones, and then while I'm doing that, I'm just kind of giving the tank an overall look in terms of composition and thinking, where does it need thinning out? Where is it becoming too dense? We can remove the leaves and keep this kind of coherent aesthetic balance. So I'll do that now. That'll probably take a good 5 or 10 minutes or so. You can see some BBA building up on some leaves there, so I'll take those off as well. BBA is particularly kind of prominent on some of the slower growing Anubias, so I'll remove those leaves, and that will generate new leaf growth, which will hopefully be healthy and algae free. Okay, I'm going to show you how to remove a sword leaf. So find the unhealthiest leaf here. You can see this is an old leaf. It's got some algae growing on the edges of the leaf there. The leaf itself is torn. It's not very healthy. It's very dull. And it's important to remove that, not just because it looks ugly, but also because the plant will actually be trying to repair this leaf rather than developing new growth. So by removing it, we actually trigger the plant into growing a new, healthier leaf. So it's really important to do it from the plant's health perspective, as well as our own aesthetic sensibility. So get the leaf, run your hand all the way to the bottom as far as you can, and you'll just feel with the finger where the leaf is protruding from the rootstock. And then with your forefinger and your thumb, run it all the way so you can't get it any further down, and then give it a really sharp tug, not too forceful, but with with intention. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. There we go, and there is actually you can see it's not a clean break, so I need to go back down and try to get the remainder of that leaf. Otherwise, again, the plant is going to try to repair that torn leaf. So we actually need to really kind of peel it away from the rootstock. There we go, that's better. There we go, now you can see, it's a really good example actually. So you can see here, that's where the leaf is growing from the rootstock. You can see a distinct kind of white colour. And now what will happen is the plant will produce a new leaf from that area, and that will hopefully be algae free, and maybe this beautiful red colour as well. We've got some other leaves that need the same attention, so we'll just repeat that process. Okay, next job is to clean the glass. Usually use there's a magnetic cleaner here for the majority of the glass, like so. And then for the stubborn algae, which normally builds up around the bottom, I use a Aquascape scraper. I did have a really posh ADA scraper, but I lost it, or it was stolen, or I don't know, just don't have it anymore. So using this, and this is really great for removing the really stubborn green algae that tends to build up around here. Okay, that's the glass cleaned quite thoroughly. I've not cleaned the back glass or around the dry weir for a long time, so there's some really, really stubborn green algae. Probably can't see it so much on the time lapse, but trust me, it was really on there. Also, just removed some Anubias leaves which were covered in BBA. Just moved a few little things here and there, tiny little details, but they all add up to make quite a big difference. Some of the Vallis and the newly planted Vallis and Balansae kept uprooting itself because of the small root structure, and there's actually not so much soil in the back, so maybe in the long term I need to add some more soil in the background. But for now I'm quite happy with how it's gone. Next job is to tidy up the foreground. That's quite a simple case of siphoning off the loose detritus, giving it a general kind of wave around with my hands, touching the plants, compressing them, lifting up all of the waste organics that have settled as a result of what we've been doing, and also just as a result of the chronic kind of fish waste building up over time. And once we've done that, in fact during that process I'll be doing the water change, so I'll siphon directly into the garden to feed the garden, and then if I need to, put a new layer of Colorado sand in the front. I'm not sure if I'll need to or not. I do have half a bag left over, but it would be nice to keep that nice and fresh. Siphon, yeah, just all of this crap. It's just it's really built up. I'll just give you a quick example. Watch this. You can see all this detritus lifting up. It's a really good idea to remove that. If it's allowed to accumulate over time, it will result in algae issues. This is a high-tech setup, in a low-tech, kind of natural system, we would just let it accumulate naturally and let nature take its course, decompose it naturally. It will feed the plants, but because we're using highlighting CO2 fertilizers, we can't do that. It's just going to result in algae issues. So it's a very different kind of approach, a methodology to the low-tech approach. It's hard work, you know, sometimes doing maintenance, but you know, I really enjoy it. I love getting my hands wet. I love touching the plants, and I love the feeling of accomplishment once you've cleaned the tank and it looks really, really good. Yeah. Oh, I cleaned this rock as well. This is almost like a focal point rock, if you like. Yeah, so we'll do that. Change the water, clean the pre-filters, top up with fresh water, dechlorinated with Fritz Complete, and then we're nearly done. Oh. Okay, the tank's fully maintained. As you can see, it is looking pretty spectacular in my humble opinion. I've turned the filters off temporarily just so you can see the extent of the purling. You know, this is the production of oxygen bubbles, visible oxygen bubbles, which I find absolutely joyous to witness. Before I go, thank you so much for watching up to this point. I just wanted to say thanks to the sponsors of this video and of all my aquariums, Awase, Tropica Aquarium Plants and Fritz Aquatics. If you haven't got any Fritz glass cleaner yet, absolutely amazing product. Leaves this really great kind of finish on the glass, makes it super easy to clean, kind of repels water, completely non-toxic. I love it. And I've also put some of this sludge remover in, which decomposes the waste organics. It's hard to kind of visibly witness any difference, but I'm sure it helps decompose, you know, the waste products and helps to keep the aquarium really clean and help prevent algae. I wanted to kind of chat a little bit about a few things before I go. We're looking after an aquarium here, we're maintaining it of course, and it's important to do that so the aquarium looks great, but also, you know, we're looking after living things in our care. We have a responsibility to give them the best that we can, and it's not just a one-way thing. You know, we're not just looking after this thing. In my opinion, this thing is looking after us as well, and I think that's an important dialogue to realise. So it's like the more effort and energy we put into something like this, I think the more reward it gives us back, and it's like a directly proportional thing. And I think that's a really interesting topic, which I will talk about in another video. I did a poll on YouTube and asked you guys what you wanted the next video to be, and I think one of the popular choices was the paradox of the high-tech planted tank. And of course this is very different to a low-tech planted tank, and I'm going to talk about this in more detail because I think it's a really interesting topic, and yeah, one for the future for sure. I will also be talking about how to measure aquarium lighting accurately using the Parwise, just over here actually. This is a product from Senai, which I will be using soon, testing out different lighting systems. I'm going to collaborate with Aquarium Gardens and work with different light units to get some official kind of stats and build up hopefully a database of different light units and what we can expect from them, and hopefully be able to use that, make it public so people can get a real good idea of what to expect from their lighting. You know, some lights can be very expensive, and I think it's important to know kind of actually what you're getting. Some of the manufacturers don't release all of the information that this thing can give you, you know, accurate PAR readings, spectrum readings, etc. So excited to test that one out. In terms of final touches on the maintenance, like I said, we had the Fritz 360. I also add Fritz Complete after every water change to dechlorinate the water, condition the water, clean the pre-filters and the filter every week. I dose my liquid fertiliser. I use Tropica Specialised Nutrition, doing 13 pumps a day in here at the moment, so it's quite a lot. But as you can see, there's a lot of plants in here. It's a large aquarium and a lot of epiphyte plants, so they need to obtain their nutrients from the water column. I am going to add a few little plants in the foreground here. I've got some Helanthrium tantalum red from Denelay, so that will be interesting to see how that goes, just sort of plant that intermittently across the foreground. And yeah, it's just a real joy to live with this aquarium. It's been going with this current hardscape now for I think almost 4 years. I think it's, you know, testament to obviously a nice hardscape, but testament to patience and, you know, just rolling with any kind of challenges you have, being resilient, overcoming those challenges. Don't be despondent if you do get algae, keep at it, be patient, change little things one thing at a time, wait for that change to take effect, and then hopefully you'll achieve some success. Little goby here, beautiful little fish. These blueberry tetras shoaling up and down. Yeah, it's a really stunning aquarium, isn't it? The Amazon swords are growing really well again. Had some real quite severe crypt melt over here on the left. Hopefully they'll come back, no problem. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have enjoyed it, like I said at the beginning, you know, please hit the like, drop me a comment. How long have you been subscribed to this channel for, and what kind of content do you enjoy the most? You know, I do kind of produce quite a variety, a diverse range of aquascaping topics, visiting other people, visiting other styles of fish keeper, cinematics, step-by-step tutorials, you know, all sorts of interesting videos. And hopefully going to get some more interesting collaborations coming soon. I'll keep you updated on those, of course. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. See you in the next video. Cheerio.